It's good to get together with you, even if it's over video. I wanted to share about the fall and missional communities. We're going to be doing a little bit different this fall with the hope of really creating space for a little bit more intentional and meaningful connection. I know we all come from different places out of this last season. We all have different desires and wants, but the thing that we share in common is that I think we've come out of this season and we've really we've struggled. We've struggled as people. We've struggled as a church. We've struggled as a whole, moving out. And as we set our sights on the fall this past spring, we started looking and praying and considering how we could best utilize the fall and serve our church and our community. We really felt like we wanted to help folks move forward. We wanted to help our missional communities transition out of the season of not knowing, will we meet, will we not meet, what are we going to do, to having a little bit more clarity, a little bit more direction, at less of a burden. So we knew when we set out for the fall, we wanted to do two things specifically. One, we wanted to put together a balanced, well-paced, and calendared structure for the fall. That really paralleled and aligned with the church calendar, meaning that we've put together a calendar for all the MCs that's laid out, and it's broken down into some different categories so that what we're doing isn't just the same static thing over and over. And then we also wanted to make sure that there wasn't like 3 or 4 or 5 things that groups were trying to do every week. Which can be really burdensome, especially coming out of a season that was really difficult and a lot of us spent in isolation. And so what we've tried to do is, for instance, the week of Handmade Fair, we're saying, hey, missional communities, don't meet that week. Come do this together, serve in this way together. When we have things like we're going to be serving in the Ironman race, and we're going to say, hey, missional communities, let's do these things together. We have church work days, we're going to be doing those things together. So the idea was that we wouldn't have multiple different demands coming out of that. So to try to simplify and streamline some of that. The second thing that we really felt like needed to happen for the fall was we wanted to be able to provide specific content and practices that did 3 things. First, really help us purposefully and meaningfully engage with one another. I know that a lot of us really long for that coming out of this season, and honestly wrestle a little socially sometimes with how to engage intentionally and meaningfully. So we wanted to get some content and structure that would help us in that. 2, we wanted to honestly engage our hearts and our minds as we're coming out of this last season, to process some of the hurt, the harm, the trauma, the fear, addictions that have developed, or whatever has come out of this last season. And we wanted to be able to do that together as a community at a manageable pace. One that wasn't just would overload. And then the third is and this is most importantly, we honestly wanted to create a space in our communities and flowing out of our communities where those who don't know Jesus could learn to be with Jesus and to get to know Jesus, where those of us who do know Jesus and have struggled this last year significantly could rediscover what it means to be with Jesus, and then for those of us who have maintained a relationship to really cultivate an even deeper connection and meaningful connection with Jesus. And so for the fall, we have put together, like I said, this calendar, and a part of this calendar are going to be some spiritual practices that we're going to do together. When we meet, there will be 8 different times where when we meet as a missional community, we're going to do some practices together, like silence and solitude, abiding, casting cares, reading the Bible for communal transformation, stuff like that. So we're going to actually put in place practices, 8 different practices that we're going to do this year that are going to be all centered and geared around being with Jesus. They're not meant to be overwhelming. It's not meant to be burdensome, but honestly, it's an invitation for us to abide together in Christ. And so that's kind of the idea. And so there are places in our calendar this fall for practices. There's going to be a couple places where we'll have some room, or some weeks where there will be discussion. And then we have also created another space where we're just designated some weeks as recreation. And recreation seems pretty self-explanatory, but the idea is that you guys just will get together. I mean, that's part of what a family does, is they get together, they play together, they talk, they hang out outside of the living room circle. And that circle is important. It's important to foster that space of intentional and meaningful conversation and formation, but it's just as important to foster true community as the family of God. And so we've got discussion and practice weeks. We've got weeks designated for recreation, and we'll even put in there, because we don't want them to be we want them to still be containing valuable discussion and meaningful discussion. So we'll provide a couple questions for even the recreation weeks for you guys to be able to continue ongoing conversation. We've also got a workshop planned in October, and then, as I mentioned before already, we'll have weeks where we're doing collective corporate rhythms together as a church, where missional communities will be coming together and either recreating or serving or doing mission together holistically as a church. And we feel like this really sets us up to really be healthier and more faithful in our discipleship. So I'm excited about the fall. I'm looking forward to you guys getting going. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions or concerns. Looking forward to a really great fall together. See ya.